thanks everybody once again for joining us for another trip to Nintendoland. We're back to talk about Nintendo news and Nintendo video games. Right, thumbs up on here. Give us a thumbs up on youtube.com/irrationalpassions.
Go ahead and hit that like button. Hit subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Ring that bell. Yeah. To give us, if you want to hang out here and listen to us yap on about Nintendo, I'm Mike Burgess. Hello. I'm here with Auri O'Neill.
Hi.
Welcome. Nintendo Direct happened. That's right. We came back for some reason. It's we usually do these episodes like once a month, but I don't know what it is. Maybe this is the gap of time. Like it's been a little bit over a month, but that's because we got a Direct. We knew a Direct was happening in June.
We did two back-to-back as well. I don't know if that was like the last set that we did.
No, that was a little bit before that. Because like I thought it was much longer since our last one, but then I looked and I was like, oh, we did one like at the early May, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's right. We did do that.
we do another thing as well.
Yeah, we do.
We're doing that every single week.
Yeah, we did
6 weeks.
Yeah, we did a lot of Destiny podcasting over on youtube.com/on-the-tower. Which can sometimes, leave this channel out to dry. That's just the nature of things.
There's only so many of us.
There's only so many of us. I'm really the only person doing like video stuff, so it is what it is. But I'll hopefully I have some ideas for some stuff I want to do outside of the podcasting and video stuff again. So hopefully I can find the time to do that stuff. We'll figure it out. But anyway, regardless of all that stuff, Nintendo Direct happened. So presumably, I think we were all in that trying to go back to that mindset right before this Direct happened, being like, well, it might be the last one for the Switch 2, because I don't know if this happened. I think between our last episode,
the day after we recorded.
Yes,
how could you forget? It was like hours later. It was truly insulting.
Of course, yeah.
How do they keep getting away with this?
They keep doing this to us in a brutal manner. Look, they just had a Direct. They can't do it again. They can't drop a huge news bomb again. Literally, like days after doing that. Please, Nintendo. We're trying.
Switch 2 teaser drops tomorrow.
Yeah, but I mean that's kind of what happened. Yeah, like you said, literally the day after. There's straight up just like a tweet from I think it was Nintendo Japan, just kind of being like it was just like a tweet just being like, yep. So we're gonna have a Direct in June that's gonna be focused on like Nintendo Switch stuff. That's gonna be at some point in there. They didn't give a specific date at that point. We since had that Direct, but they also said I think they gave us like a time frame. I think they said by fiscal next year we will also be talking about the Switch successor.
Yep.
So that is the thing that is like not imminent, but like we have like a general time frame of like from this podcast until early next year we will be hearing about whatever this Switch 2 is, whatever it's going to end up being, and we're finally going to get that information. That this Direct had nothing to do with that, so it was kind of like positioned. I think out the gate of people just being like, well, it's probably gonna be a quiet year for Nintendo. There's gonna be a lot of ports. They're just gonna have something because they're cooking everything for that next thing. And then they were like, hey, guess what? Turns out we have like some of the sickest games we've had on the Switch and it's it's technically the last year of the Switch, but we're now also putting out some of the sickest games or like some like long requested like things. Out this year,
just like banger fresh ideas that
that's really cool. And like there was obviously stuff directly from Nintendo, but also stuff that was like here's third party things that we haven't heard that like we know are things, and now they're coming. So there's a couple really cool, exciting things in that. So just it was a kind of like a really cool like surprise Direct that happened. That was like really really good. And that's kind of the main thing. We've also had some games and stuff come out. Like we played some indie things we'll talk about, but the big one, of course, is Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door, remade on the Switch.
Even better than I could have hoped.
For real. It's been really great. I've definitely been in I played a bunch of it, but then the Destiny black hole
Destiny mines,
appeared in front of us, and that's been happening for a while now. But we did play a bunch of that, and we both did. So we'll definitely talk about that later. After we talk about this Direct stuff. So I think that's like the big thing. Well, let's just get into this. In the doc I kind of split it into like here are the games, the big games that were announced that are now going to be for this year for the Switch. but we also got some other big things. So I think we just start with the very first thing they showed in the Direct, which was definitely, I think, like one of the biggest surprises, and that we are getting a new Mario and Luigi game. Mario and Luigi Brothership is a new Mario and Luigi RPG game that like we thought was never going to happen.
Every time I hear that name, it's just
Brothership.
So funny.
Yeah, it's really good actually too.
It's not Brotherhood, it's Brothership. You
Brothership, and you know why? Because if you watch that trailer and you look at some of the now like the key art and things that have come out, like there's an actual ship that their boat they were like commanding, and like it seems like the whole conceit is like you and Mario and Luigi are like going to islands to like do stuff. And you're like either I'm hoping there will be like some segments where you like are actually controlling that ship or something. That could be really fun.
Yeah, I bet that's like the equivalent of the turn the switch on the side Bowser's Inside Story moment.
Yeah. As long as it's not like too egregious, like I think it could be still really fun. Because as much as I really do like those, like a lot of the previous Mario and Luigi games, they definitely. I think
there hasn't been a good one in a while.
There hasn't been a good one in a while, and like the ones that came out were like just kind of decent, and clearly just kind of like they kind of just kept putting a lot of those out at a certain point on the 3DS era. That was just like, okay, yeah, maybe like this is the
we didn't need Paper Jam.
We didn't need Paper Jam, not really, and then obviously, unfortunately, Dream Team. Unfortunately, then like we heard like Alpha Dream, the studio that was originally working on the games went bankrupt apparently, unfortunately, and then they had to do that. But apparently, like Nintendo's being Nintendo and weird and not talking specifically who the dev team is on this. Again, they're doing their weird things, but like apparently it has a lot of previous Alpha Dream talent behind it still. So like there's a lot of people that were on that original team working on this in some shape or form. Whether that's like some new studio that like they put together, or like maybe like they're folded into some other studio that's already a part of Nintendo. I don't know. Nintendo's can be weird about that stuff sometimes, about just not telling us who the teams are and whatever. But regardless, I think the game just looked super fun. Like it's now a fully 3D Mario and Luigi game, which we've never really had before. That's always kind of been 2D pixel art. I think they like translated that look and style of those games really well into 3D out the gate. Just like seeing that trailer and like I love the look of Mario. Like Mario and Luigi look very much like that art style that's like been in all of those all the box arts and key arts and things like that. It looks very sharp and very nice. They're very expressive and animated, where you could see a lot of the combat scenes in that trailer where they're like working together and doing wacky stuff, where Mario's like charging a hammer and Luigi like smacks him with it and then sends him into like a super flip to like do stuff, and it's just like very expressive and animated like that, like those games always were, that were really fun. And like it has all like the kind of the weird wacky cast, so I'm very appreciative that we've now gotten like multiple Mario RPGs that weren't just like the problem where it's like, oh, they just made everybody toads for whatever reason and just lost all this energy. But now it's like, no, there's original characters. There's like a whole force that's like in this game. It's like apparently like based off like electric cables or something, and like this looks very ridiculous in some of the gameplay footage.
I was gonna say, like, regardless of which generation Mario RPG bandwagoner you were, whether it's like OG Super Mario RPG, Paper Mario era, or now Mario and Luigi handheld era, like you're eating good.
Yeah, like literally like in the last year, we've gotten all three of those games and all games from those franchises like on the Switch now, and like that's really cool. This is out. This is gonna be out November 7th, I believe. It's sometime in November for sure, but I believe it's November 7th. So yeah, later they'll be one of their holiday games. Looks great. I'm definitely will be checking this out because I always like those. I like a lot of the previous games. Like I like, of course, there's like the original like kind of Game Boy DS era ones that were like it's a Superstar Saga, very good. Partners in Time were
online thing. Superstar Saga is.
Yeah, Superstar Saga, yep. Very good. Partners in Time was okay, and then Bowser's Inside Story, of course, also very, very good. It's probably my actual favorite one. And then I think it was like Dream Team was after that, and I think Paper Jam was after that. I think it was just those two.
I think so.
But yeah, those two were like, yeah, they were like you said, like you were saying, like they're just kind of like, eh.
Okay.
Our Dream Team was like, eh, and Paper Jam was like, okay, I think we've had enough of this, because it just kind of sullied both of those ones at the time. But yeah, it's good to see it back, and I think this one seems like it is a little bit more reserved, and that it looks like it is just Mario and Luigi. They're doing a thing, and I'm totally cool with them kind of like maybe reeling it in a little bit without having to make some too wacky of a gimmick, and let it just be like its fun own little RPG game, especially now here on the Switch. So that's cool. Looking forward to that. Let's see. Was there any other things you want to shout out in terms of announcements here that you wanted to jump right to, or?
I'm going through it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
There's
Nintendo.
There's like a few big things right from this one. And
Yeah,
then there's like
of course. And I'm trying to avoid the big things, like little things along the way here. Nintendo definitely they understand how to pace their shows so well now, where it's like, all right, we're gonna start with one of our things, and then here's some other stuff, and then we're gonna do another one of our things, and then here's some other stuff, and then here's one more thing.
There's like
they're very good at it.
Yeah, they've definitely done a lot of these.
To their credit, and there is certainly one extremely justified pop-off moment here, and maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah.
The Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection.
Yes.
The nice thing about those in between moments is everybody's gonna have something in there.
Yeah.
Whether it's a cozy game that's this is so nice and farming sim and I love this, or something like Marvel vs. Capcom, or I could see maybe not Silksong because at this point it's becoming a meme. But something like that being in there was Into the Breach or something that happened a little while ago.
Yeah, I definitely think Nintendo is they're when they're putting together these kind of showcases and presentations, definitely have the best amalgamation or portfolio. Either their own games or who they can get to be hey, it's probably not very difficult for them to be hey, you want to be in our direct, or we can put this in our direct, or if anything, it's probably people pitching to them more than anything these days of please put us in your direct, kind of stuff. But
because they kind of have reach in a way that Microsoft and Sony don't, in that they're also Nintendo,
exactly, yeah, and I think that allows them to really, like you said, have this breadth of there's kind of stuff for there was kind of stuff for everybody in this direct, in a way that not every direct has always done perfectly, but I think this one especially was just oh yeah, tons of cool Nintendo announcements. Some of the third-party announcements were really cool too, like you said, the Marvel vs. Capcom collection of arcade collection that is literally not just I think the one people wanted, which was Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is literally not been playable on a console since the Xbox 360 in any way,
and this
shape,
is
or form.
A version of the game that has never been playable on consoles. The arcade version.
Yes, it's the arcade version. It is it is not just Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's Marvel Superheroes, X-Men versus Street Fighter,
which is so cool.
Yeah, they got pretty much all of them, and it is one collection. That's going to be on Switch. It's going to be on, I think, everything else too. It's on Steam.
It's on PlayStation, Steam, and Switch.
Right, yeah. And
Xbox for some reason.
No Xbox for some reason, whatever. Very weird. But yeah, it's going to be on there. It's going to be there. It's going to have online play, rollback netcode, all that fun stuff. That's the first time, even I've been maybe I will get that. Because
everybody loves MVC2.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I'm not really a fighting game person, but that was one of those entry gateway fighting games for me to at least get introduced more into that genre. Was going to a local movie theater, and it's going, and they had arcades, and that was one of the machines in that arcade, and then playing that there with friends at the time and being yeah, okay, cool, fighting games, yeah, cool. So that was that game. So it was there's a sentimentality a little bit even with that one, even though I would not consider myself a fighting game guy by any stretch. But I like that one. So I might get this collection myself, even, because it's just really cool to have that on there.
Just the vibe that has sprouted from this announcement has just been immaculate.
Yes,
also.
Yeah, it was.
Everyone's stoked.
Yes, yeah. One of the first things I wanted to see was I need to see Maximilian Dude's reactions, and of course that was the biggest thing popping off on Twitter, and like on social media, and it was everything I wanted. I'm so happy.
Yeah,
after
the man what started free MVC, you know, like
yeah.
It's cool. It's good vibes. It seems like it's a good collection. They're adding like some cool stuff to the training mode and music listen and art and like, you know, everything you would want out of a collection like this on top of it. And it's like, finally, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah. I don't think they gave a date, but it's just probably gonna be sometime later this year.
Sometime this year. Yeah, that's all we know.
But yeah, that's still really cool. Oh god, my computer.
What about you?
Hold on, my computer is randomly starting an update, but it's fine.
Okay, cancel update.
Yes, yeah.
Shut it down, everyone.
Shut it down. No panic here.
Definitely, no one's panicking. Everyone's fine.
Yeah, I know, right? Just threw me off. I would say like another cool one in that case was finally seeing the Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest 3 2D HD remake finally reappear, and that is also coming out in November as well. I believe it is November 14th. It is coming out, and it is a 2D HD 2D remake of Dragon Quest 3, which is like considered like the iconic one. Like in terms of the series, I've only ever played. The only Dragon Quest I played is 11, and I guess I played Dragon Quest Builders, which I did like, but that's kind of different. But this seems like it is the one. Like it is like, hey, this is. They're even like trying to pitch it as like if you're not into this franchise and want an entryway to like play this and see why it's such a huge deal in like in Japan or whatever, like this is the one to play. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I like I've liked previous HD 2D games. I think it looked really nice, and that like it's clearly can see them like sort of evolving that style, and like seeing some of like in particular like the bosses and things in that sequence. It just looked really impressive. It was a really nice looking game overall. And they also like just did like a surprise. We're doing the first two games also in HD 2D. That they're gonna come together. It's gonna be 1 and 2 together, and that's coming out sometime next year. So that was kind of like the surprise of like, hey, that's happening too. So that's very cool. Were you interested in this at all, or not really?
I've never really been a Dragon Quest person. I don't know. Sure. Like I'm definitely interested. I have like zero temperature on this franchise. Something I've wanted to try kind of, but like there's a lot of video games now.
Yeah, it's a lot of video games. And
it's hard for me to think about it.
It's a big JRPG as well, for sure. Yeah, I would say for playing 11, I liked 11. I don't think I beat it because you hit it's like a spoilers for 11 or whatever, but you like it kind of has like a point where like you hit this, you kind of like, it kind of is like driving you through the story to this moment, and then it kind of like a twist happens, and then the game just kind of keeps going, and like by that point I was like 80 hours in, so it's just like, man, this game is just like, there's just so much in this game, and like I felt like this story meat was like the good end point, but it kind of keeps going, and now it's like onto some completely different storyline that was like kind of just whatever, but I did enjoy the game for what it was, for what it's worth. Sure. Like it was a fun JRPG. The characters were interesting little cast of characters and stuff. So yeah, I might be willing to give it a shot.
I don't know if you've played it, but that sounds a lot like the first Ni no Kuni.
Yeah, I played the original.
That also has like a very logical endpoint, and then like some other shit comes up.
Going. Yep. For sure. But yeah, that was a cool one. I know that was one people were waiting on, because like they kind of teased that like years ago at this point, I want to say, and it just kind of has been non-existent. I was like, oh, okay, yep, and it's here, boom. Very cool. Let's see, what else can we shout out here before the last few big ones here? Any hype for Lego Horizons Adventures? Let's go.
No, but it does look cute, and I'm excited for the people that like Lego games still.
Yeah,
I played like two of them, and then I was done.
That's like my funniest, but also like my very cynical, I'll say cynical take is like, I want to know the children that like get this game and are like Lego Horizon Adventures. All right, cool, and then like they have a good time with it, and then they like grow up in a couple years and go to play the Horizon games and go like, oh, this game sucks actually.
I like the Horizon games for the record.
Then it's just a ruined experience for them, because they
you know, I gotta any of my fellow like lesbian games. I gotta be out there repping the brand.
Fair enough.
it's it's Pride Month, Mike. I really don't know what to tell you. No, it is like a weird, like, who is the target demographic for that? Like, the people that play Horizon are like 20 to 30-year-old adults. Yeah. So they're making a kids game for those people. Yes.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about it.
Yeah, but and it's also just like a PlayStation first party franchise on
it's
the
a
Switch.
Brand on Switch, which when they announced
but it makes sense.
They had said it's coming to Switch, which I thought was crazy in that state of play. I think it's crazy now.
Yeah. Very interesting to say the least. But I don't know. I'm curious just to see how this game performs, because and like it's interesting, definitely seeing Sony, like the biggest Sony games this year are like for like a younger kids audience, and that is not usually their audience. So I'm curious to see like how these games do in general, not to get on like a random PlayStation tangent, but seeing Horizon and Astrobot.
I think Astrobot's going to be great for everybody.
Yes,
to be fair.
That's also it's
great. It's going to be great for you and me. That's for fun.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm pretty excited for that. Yeah, so that'll be interesting.
It is cool. I'm a lapsed, like, I had my tryst with it back in the day, but I'm a lapsed Ace Attorney fan. But the Ace Attorney Edgeworth collection, basically, there were these 2 Miles Edgeworth games, which were, he's in like another guy in those games instead of Phoenix Wright. And one came to the States, but the other one didn't, because that first one didn't do well enough. And they are remastering both of those games and bringing that second game to the States. And the wider release for the first time, which is really cool, and it's getting a whole new art style, but you can switch it to the old pixel art style as well. It seems like a really good collection, and Ace Attorney is one of those things that's like just in the background, always going. They're always making.
They just keep making those. They just keep making those, and like clearly, like the people show up for them when they do. I was curious about the other one though, because I know they announced like a new Professor Layton game. So I was curious if that was going to be here, because I would actually like to do that, because I've played a couple of those like way back in the day and like them. So seeing like a new one on Switch would be really, it's going to be really cool. So I'm curious about, I'll be curious about that one whenever it shows its head. But I think that's like a similar vein too, where like it kind of has like it's a little nicher, but it has its fans, so it'll show up. Let's see what else we have. I'll shout this one out just because I think it's interesting. I admittedly don't know if I'll jump into it, but it's Fantasian Neo Dimension. This is like another JRPG shown. The interesting thing, they had like a whole little section in this direct that was like, hey, these random games that got made on Apple Arcade that no one played because they're only on Apple Arcade, we're gonna put them on some other stuff finally. Please play them. Oh God, we've spent so much money on this. And this is one of them. Like Fantasia Neo Dimension is a new JRPG from like the original Final Fantasy creator, and the Gooch, and Uematsu as well. Uematsu, like the original composer, also like they both were on this, and that's like a game from that group, and it's finally going to be off of the Apple Arcade, and it's now coming to Switch. I don't know if it was announced for anything else, but I think it might just be Switch.
I thought it might have also been announced for PlayStation, but I don't know.
That's possible.
I'll double check.
But yeah, it looked fine. Like it clearly seemed very mobile game, like designed friendly, because you could see like the whole conceit is like you were like literally like aiming the moves in a way that you would with a finger on a touch screen to like make the attacks arc through multiple enemies on the screen and stuff. So yeah, I'm curious to see, like, just to have people end up really digging that now that it's on not an Apple Arcade device, because no one was really probably playing that on Apple Arcade. The same with Hello Kitty Island Adventure, which was basically just like Hello Kitty Animal Crossing, sort of kind of.
Coming to PlayStation and Xbox and Steam. Okay,
there you go. It's gonna be on everything. Cool. But yeah, that was just like a fun little. I remember it was like I feel like those were almost back to back. It was just like, please. Apple Arcade is not really a thing as much anymore as I feel like it is. So yeah. But yeah, that was cool. I guess I'll we did have some ports here, so I'll just shout them out real quick, because we saw more of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which I think is actually out like as of recording this, it's like the same. It's like out this week. I
thought it was the first week of July, so I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, no, it's this week.
It's in 2 days. Okay.
2 days. Yeah. I knew it was out pretty soon.
I don't know when this episode will come out, but it's this Thursday.
Yeah.
Why does Nintendo keep putting games out on Thursdays? Could we? Do we have an answer?
I'm not sure, but it seems like they're continuing that because I think some of these other games are Thursday releases also.
Mm-hmm. I think Tears of the Kingdom was too. That might have been Friday.
I think you're right. It's either Thursday or Friday. Yeah. But yeah, that's out and out there. They show that briefly again here. Seems like it is what it is. I still might get that at some point, but not right now. Too much other stuff playing. That might be like us. Let's see how let's get Halloween time frame and see what other games are out those days. And maybe I'll jump in then. Other one they showed, Donkey Kong Returns HD. They're bringing that. They're porting that also to the Switch, and it is a January 2025 release. So there you go. Mm-hmm. Still getting some Switch games on the 2025. Just remember that because it's a reminder for sure. I put that in our doc of just like that's 2025. Pokemon Legends is also still 2025. And then the other big game from this announcement, which I mean, I guess it's not really a secret because if you're watching the video version of this that we're plastered on the background, you've watched it.
It's here. She's here, my queen.
She's here and also going to be showing up in 2025. But before we get to that, that was Donkey Kong Returns HD looks like that game is fine. Like I don't think I actually ever played that one on the Wii.
It's brutal, dude. It is so incredibly difficult. And Tropical Freeze is, I think, like more a gradation of difficulty. Like it starts fine and then it gets harder as it goes. This is like the first world's chill, and then from then on, it's like we're gonna kick your fucking teeth nonstop. I'm curious because like it got a 3DS port that had extra levels and stuff, and better controls because the whole thing with this is a Wii game. You had to use the do this to roll
stuff. Yeah, it seems like it's probably not that anymore.
Yeah, and I wonder if they like adjusted the difficulty at all. If they added things to make it easier because they do that stuff. We'll talk about Paper Mario later, but they've done some of that stuff with Thousand Year Door, for example. So yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's totally possible, and I definitely saw some people definitely being irksome about this one because apparently like there was like some visual. Oh, it was HD version of it. It's a higher res version of it. There's like some visual downgrades still somehow. But it could just be because it's
great.
Yeah, it also could just be because that's coming out in January, so it's like still like 6 months away, 6-7 months away from coming out. So maybe they just
hopefully.
Maybe they're just gonna be cleaning some of that up. But
also Nintendo's now 2 for 2 because the Luigi's Mansion I purchased before the 3DS eShop closed, and I also purchased Donkey Kong Country Returns HD on the Wii U from like the Wii.
I think that's gonna be a trend here pretty soon.
I fucking know it, dude? Don't I know it?
Link Between Worlds HD coming to Nintendo Switch.
Fuck. I know that one's coming, but that's fine. I'll take that one happily.
Yep. Same. Let's see. Anything else before we get into these last? I think a couple big ones here.
The Switch Online got some more
Switch
stuff.
Online got some stuff. I guess we can do our usual Switch Online check. If you can, don't really play much stuff on Switch Online, frankly. I don't know if you play stuff occasionally.
I do. Okay. I would say I'm trying to think. The last thing I think I played was like Metroid Fusion, which was March, I think.
I can play Zero Mission.
I might play Zero Mission again. That game fucking rips, dude.
Game.
And you can beat it in like 5 hours. It's very chill.
Yeah.
Very stoked about the GBA version of Link to the Past getting ported in addition to the Four Swords. And Four Swords with online multiplayer for the first time, actually, which is really cool.
Okay, I didn't know that online. That's cool.
Yeah, because all those games you can play online.
Cool.
So that would actually be really fun. That's it's not a super long one.
Get a squad together, and do.
Yeah, we can maybe do like a dumb stream of that. That could be fun.
Yeah.
And then the M-rated pack that's got Perfect Dark and Turok in it, which is so funny.
It's just those two in the M-rated pack. I mean, they're gonna put Conquer in there probably now, aren't they? That's like the other one.
I hope so.
That's like the 3, right? Like that's like all they could really put in there. I feel like.
Yeah, I guess Turok 2. Really, everyone loved. And Perfect Dark 2. I think there was a second Perfect Dark.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, we just like saw Perfect Dark, the new one, a couple weeks ago as well at Xbox. So this was kind of neat. It was definitely unexpected. Yeah. Still no Jet Force Gemini though. Still no Donkey Kong 64. So what are we fucking doing, Nintendo?
What are we even doing? They're saving those for the Switch 2. That's why.
Yeah, you need the Switch's 2's HD 4K stuff to be able to run something like DK 64 at 60 FPS.
All those monkeys in there. Yeah, needs that extra power. Let's see. We had one other big Nintendo holiday game announced here, which is Super Mario Party Jamboree. This looks great. I've been like, I admittedly was not like, I'm still like irksome in that like I did not vibe as much with Super Mario Party, the first Nintendo Switch Mario Party game, as much as I ended up doing with Superstars.
Yeah.
I definitely don't. I feel like I got as much play of that, so to see like they're kind of going back to that a little bit, but it also seems like they are also trying to incorporate Superstars into it as well, like some of the stuff they learned from both those games and kind of make it into one thing. So like I could be in for this. Like it looks fun. I like all the like there's just like a big pile of characters that are in this one compared to the other one.
You can play as Bowser.
Yeah, you can play as Bowser, and like I see Monty Mole's back in this one. Spike, like the Spike, and like Ninja was, I think, in the gameplay footage.
In there for some fucking
fuck
reason.
It, why not? And like it's cool that like it clearly seems like, I mean, who knows if this is actually the case, but it seems like they have the whole idea of people really hoping for Superstars DLC coming to that game originally, but they just also put two OG boards from earlier Mario Party games into this game. Makes it seem like they maybe just went like, maybe they had plans for that and just didn't bother, and we're like, hey, why don't we just make a whole new game and just throw everything together, and just kind of feels like it was that, because we're at the end of the Switch's life anyway. So I'm curious to see this, and I'm also curious to see like because like there's going to be like a 20-player multiplayer mode in it, where it looks like there will be so many games that are like centered around that multiplayer stuff. And there's literally was like scenes of like 20 characters like running around in these mini games, and it just looked kind of insane. So I'm curious to see that in action. I feel like that'll be more of a thing to like watch like streamers or YouTubers, whoever the F, doing this when this game comes out, and mess around with the game and see what they do with that, rather than like me like buying this game to go online and do that, I guess.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm curious about it.
Jamboree is such a jolly name.
Jamboree is a fun name. Super Mario Party Jamboree. It's better than like them just calling it like Super Mario Party 2 or something like that.
Yeah, so, for sure. It's just good. So silly. We've gotten like, we did Mario Party 10, and then it was like, all right, now Super Mario Party. All right, no, now Mario Party All Stars or whatever it's called. Now Jamboree. It's like, but we're bringing Super back. It's like, all right,
okay, yeah,
whatever, I guess.
Yeah, but it seems cool. It's out October 17th. So again, another there's an October game for you for the holidays.
It'll easily sell like 20 million units.
Yes,
probably,
yeah,
so.
Totally.
Nintendo is gonna make a huge amount of money on it. You can see like we are definitely like the vibe is we're in the last year right now, but it's like they got a couple. The Mario and Luigi one, the next two we're gonna talk about. You know, there's some good stuff there.
Yeah, there's some good stuff for sure.
Speaking of which, we got to get through it. We got.
Speaking of which, I think it's time to talk about. What do you think? Time for Zelda?
The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, man.
Yeah, this game, quite an awesome surprise, right? Where just like it's yes, same as I think everybody was. It was like fun to watch the reactions from folks like watching it and then being like, I think a lot of people just like, wait, is this like a remake in the Link's Awakening like style? What is this? Like people,
that's what I thought for sure.
I think a lot of people were doing that, and then it continues, and then you see Link get sucked up into like a portal, but then he frees Zelda, and then you see like her take over, and then you
see her Breath of the Wild moment going on a cliff and looking at the open world. It's like they're fucking doing it.
Yeah, and they're making. So we're getting a top-down Zelda game. It's a Zelda game, and it's Zelda's game. We're finally getting a game where we play as Zelda. And I think it's I think it looks super cool and creative. Like it seems like they are like in the way that like they kind of broke convention with like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. They're kind of looking to try and do maybe nothing like maybe that's like going high bigger than what I mean here, but like clearly like those games are like the game were about breaking kind of traditional Zelda conventions, and this looks like they're trying to do that with in a 2D space with the 2D games where you are Zelda and she basically has this she has this wand that lets her kind of literally like take objects and like reuse them and make copies of them to like navigate and go around this world. And I was watching some a lot of bigger YouTube channels that cover Nintendo stuff do a lot of like breakdowns and videos and things, and I saw some on Twitter too where it seems like a good chunk of this map is like the Link to the Past map. Like they straight up are just like taking stuff from that map, but they're also expanding parts of it. So you can see like people were just kind of collecting that from the screenshots, and that shot you were talking about where it's like her looking over this like Bass King. You can see like, oh yeah, there's Hyrule Castle, but behind it you can kind of see that there's like the graveyard like zone area that's like behind it, like in Link to the Past. You can see like Death Mountain right behind that, and you can see these other little spaces. You can see like the lake and the rocks that would be like where that one like Lake Hylia in kind of the dungeon is. It has a very similar setup to that, but also has like some other minor things where it seems like it is like maybe that like it's mostly based off of that map, but also like has like expansions to it where there's more areas to uncover. So yeah, that's awesome. I think like it looks really cool.
I mean, baseline, like if they had announced any new 2D Zelda, like a new 2D Zelda at all, which this is, I would have been hyped.
Yeah.
But like that we get this, that's like, hey, we're doing the thing, we're experimenting. Obviously it's a smaller game than Tears of the Kingdom, but like we're gonna put Zelda in the leading role. We're gonna give her own kind of mechanics. Maybe we should give her a sword next time just because she can be badass too. I don't know. That's like my opinion. It's totally fine. I'm excited about this anyway. But yeah, like this whole unique thing that is also like breaking convention and it engendering a lot of creativity in the people playing, right? It's like we want you to overcome challenges in your own way, which is obviously a big philosophy of the more recent 3D games. Now trickling down to the 2D games in the similar way to like Link Between Worlds had a little bit of that vibe. I mean, this is like 10 out of 10 announcement, like unexpected. No one predicted this. No one thought anything like this.
No one thought.
We talked about like maybe a remake. And when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be like an Oracle of Ages and Seasons remake, which would have been also great. I would have been very excited about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like best of best case scenarios for me.
It's an entirely new game, and like I was gonna say like I do like that, it's like maybe not like the badass Zelda sword fighter, but I do like that they are playing into like she has the Triforce of wisdom, and like the wisdom is like within her, and she is like this, like she's kind of a mage, I guess, like for lack of a better term, and they built like mechanics around that idea. And I thought that was like a super cool and creative way to do that. And I think it's also, I just think that was like really cool to see that and see like, I'm really curious to see though how expansive the ability repertoire really is. Like, will we actually be able to like fully break this map because of the things we have access to? And, them showing this scene where like she like stacks beds and then puts like a trampoline to like get over this ledge into this town. And like, does that was like her doing that in that moment, like a thing where like you could like basically like skip to like a different portion of the game and like go out of order or whatever, or like is this game open enough to where it is like you can kind of do stuff in a different order technically from what is like designed to be like the main path or whatever. So I'm curious about like how extensive that stuff is, and it just seems really fascinating. I like the idea of her like being like a beast master, and you can like literally like summoner. take enemies, and like use the enemies to kind of fight for you. And I'm just curious, like will we get like traditional Zelda, or I guess like traditional dungeons in this case,
traditional Link dungeons?
And like how does her powers like dictate for that stuff, and like. or like
that's what I'm so excited to find out.
It's like I'm really excited to see that. And the coolest thing about it is like this game's out in September, so it's only like it's like basically 2 months away. Like I think it's like September 26th. So yeah, literally like 2 months away more or less. So yeah, very cool. Can't wait to check that out.
Cannot wait. It was
such a cool surprise.
I said it like before with Tears of the Kingdom, and obviously this is probably like maybe a branch of the Zelda team, or maybe it's a whole separate team, because Aonuma comes out and introduces every Zelda game now, which I also think is cool. I like that the biggest franchises have their like kind of leader, but obviously he's delegating, he's not doing everything anymore,
right?
But yeah, the Zelda team is just like the best that they have ever been, I think, right now. So that they are like so excited to play around in new spaces with new ideas, with new protagonists. It's just
try weird and crazy stuff.
This is like reiterating my feeling after playing Tears of the Kingdom that we are now in the golden era of Zelda. Like we're about to get this, and I think this is going to be very good. And I think whatever comes next, and potentially the next few things after that, are going to be some of the best Zelda games ever, and I am so grateful.
Yeah, it's gonna be really awesome to see like what they have planned for Zelda and like as a franchise next, for sure. Like just what are they even gonna do with it, and like I think it's like cool they can blend having these 2D games still make sense to like put out, but still have these massive Tears of the Kingdom level games as well. Very cool.
We're this much closer to a 3D Zelda with Zelda as the protagonist, or like maybe both characters, Link and Zelda, as protagonists. Like I think there's like a lot of room to have a lot of fun with that idea, and I love that they heard that people really wanted to do this, like obviously years ago when that first trailer went out, and then they were like, "Oh, okay." I remember like that interview where Aaron was like, "Yeah, we didn't really know that people really wanted to play as Zelda, but we'll think about it." And it's like, I love how clearly and quickly they responded to that feedback of like, okay, let's do a smaller game.
Let's try this and see how it goes. Yeah.
Play in this space. Yeah. Let's see how it goes. And yeah, I cannot wait to see how this plays. And yeah, I just think it's such a creative, fun thing. And I'm not talking about Wanda Gamelon. Stop bringing it up, everyone. I don't want to fucking hear about it.
Let's talk about it. This is a Wanda of Gamelon podcast now.
Ugh, shut it down.
But yeah, then let's get on. Now we have our one last thing that we showed, and now
this was my fucking direct. If you couldn't,
I was gonna say.
I want you to know, I like started like 5 minutes late, and I like because I like snoozed my alarm. I didn't really want to get up and watch this. Like I'll watch it later, and I popped off like 4 times in this, and I was like, I really did not expect this one to be such a banger.
Yeah, I think that was like the surprise of this direct overall was like, wow, it's like we're at the end of the life cycle. It's probably what else do they got? They're probably
I thought we were gonna get like Wind Waker ports and stuff.
Yeah, Wind Waker port, maybe like I wasn't like too out there to think like maybe we'll get like another Mario Party thing, or like maybe they'll do some like weird random DLC like they did like Mario Kart. Like you're just like random game that like you want a DLC for, and now we're just gonna do it. Here you go. But no, they had a bunch of new games that were just ready to put out. This one, however, there's still definitely a lot of questions for it, but it was finally really great to just see it in action at least a little bit, and that is Metroid Prime 4. That was our closer. We got an official title. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is our title. We got like basically like a little snippet of gameplay that definitely looks like Metroid Prime and looked really good. It looked like it looked like on the same visual quality of Metroid Prime Remastered, I would say. I looked
definitely probably better.
Yeah, maybe a little bit better, but like it definitely was in that cadence, because I think that game still was a very good looking game.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, this looks just like visually incredible for the Nintendo Switch.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it was really, really cool. Just seeing that game, and then we got like basically like teases of like where he's gonna be going against that guy from Hunters.
Fucking Silax, dude, he's back, dude.
He's here. He's got his weird Metroids.
He's got his cool shoulder pads.
He's got his pointy shoulders.
I want you to know, like, because I popped off twice during this trailer of just like, hell yeah, we're doing it. It's happening. My girl, she's back. My queen, I love her. My 7-foot tall queen. And then when that dude came out, I was like, they're fucking doing it. Of like just this weird post-credit scene that has been hanging in the air of my fucking brain for 14 years, Mike. I can't tell you.
I feel like that was definitely the thing where I feel like I watch people like blowing up about that, the like little thing of like, man, they set up this thing and it's they're gonna do it, and then I was like okay,
2008.
But I went back and watched it, and it's literally just like his ship just like appearing and then like zooming, and it's just like, oh, okay, sure. So
but
like
it's the same thing as the dread of like that game being like secretly canceled and secretly announced in the background for years and years and years, and then they show a game and it's called Metroid Dread. It's obviously a different thing, but this is like way more of a direct line of like, oh my god, why we didn't really have to follow up on this thread, but we are doing it, and where the fuck is it going?
It was very we'll see. We'll have to see where it goes, because that was kind of it. Like we kind of got the back and forth. We got like a really pretty
not the most exciting trailer, to be honest.
Pretty shot, and then kind of just ended. So like we didn't really get like, it kind of just was like a confirmation of just like, they're making a Metroid Prime and it looks really good.
It's real.
It's real. It's a thing that exists and it'll be out. And they gave it a time frame of next year. Of course, that led to all kinds of, is it a cross-gen thing? Is it just a Switch thing? And who knows?
Probably it'll be a cross-gen thing, but we don't have to worry about that right now. It's fine.
Yeah, I think so too. I think like it would not be shocking if it's some cross-gen thing. If it is that, but regardless, it looks really cool. I'm definitely curious, kind of like what the beyond is referencing, and kind of what the hook is to this one, because like they always kind of have at least some kind of thing to it, right? Like I'm curious what that means and what that could do. Is it some new power she gets, or is it something else about, maybe it's some kind of thing, because I was gonna think of like originally, like before this reveal, I was thinking like maybe they'll try and do like a more open world-ish type thing, but like kind of
I do think that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's still it's still possible, but like watching watching those scenes, like part of me still, and seeing like how the HUD is set up, and how even that little shot of like the more outdoorsy environment still kind of looked like a traditional path that would be like in a prime game. So I'm kind of maybe expecting it to still maybe be a little bit more closer to a Metroidvania experience, which is totally fine. But it's just thinking about like what is like, I feel like there's got to be maybe something like a hook that game will have.
Yeah, I mean, all of the follow-ups to Metroid Prime have had hooks, like Echoes, for folks that did not play it. The second one has like 2 worlds. Mm-hmm. You constantly take damage in the dark world, right? So you have to like move from these safe zones to safe zones, and then go back to the light world and interact with the worlds together, kind of. Mm-hmm. And then Metroid Prime 3 had this corruption meter, where you had basically like a super meter that you could activate this mode, eat an energy tank, and go into like a super high damage mode. And you had to use that to get over certain obstacles, kill certain enemies, and then defeat certain bosses. And you got powers for that in addition to your regular powers. So I don't know. I feel like they're gonna play around with like big areas, a single area that is like much larger than any single area we've seen in a Metroid Prime before. And through that area is going to have multiple things you can do, potentially more optional things that you can do. Metroid Prime 3 also had like multiple planets. I think it had 4, if I'm remembering correctly. It was either 3 or 4. And so you were kind of going back and forth between these planets. One was like Elysium, was like this cool sky, like steampunk sky city that was very cool. And then there was kind of like the more traditional Metroid planet that's just like had lava and stuff.
Sure.
And then Space Pirate Homeworld, which was really cool as well. I there's a lot of potential, and I'm, it's been so long. It's crazy to think about like a new Metroid Prime and like what mechanics might be in that. Like if there's a grappling hook is it going to be like more like modern video game grappling hooks versus like Metroid? You know, thinking about like Halo 4 or Halo 6, I guess Halo Infinite, and all these other games, all these first person shooters, Titanfall, all this stuff to like take influence from since Metroid Prime 3 has come out.
Yeah, like
it's really exciting
if they could do any of that stuff in that. It would be really cool. Yeah, super curious, but yeah, we'll have to. We'll that probably still be a little while before we hear anything like that. And I'm still curious if we'll get, you know, with that being 2025. And we don't really have a general time frame. We have a general time frame of the announcement of the Switch 2, but that does not necessarily mean like the Switch 2, for all we know, could be later next year. Although I think everyone's hope is it is early next year. There's still a possibility it could be later in the year, which means we still could get some other Switch stuff for then. So I was curious if they would go all the way and put out like Prime 2 and 3 ports. It would be nice because I never played 3.
3's great.
Yeah. I played the other 2 a bunch. I played through both of those multiple times, but I've not ever played 3. So it would be cool to be able to play that before going into that. But you know, if it doesn't happen, I'll live. But you know, it would be nice.
3 is like very much obviously the worst of the 3, but it's cool. It's still great. Like it's
still
like,
a Metroid Prime game, so I probably will still probably like it.
It is like a lot of quests and voice acting, and like there are people that are telling you what to do throughout that whole game. So it kind of loses some of the Metroidiness of it. You know what I mean? And I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way. I don't think it's that big a deal personally, but it has its own. It has great level design, interconnectivity, has some fun like rival characters. It has like a little bit of that Metroid Prime Hunters, the DS game in it, Silex's game. So
nice. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'll figure out a way maybe to play that at some point. Still have next year, but yeah, overall, that was a super surprising direct that just ended up being really cool, and I really liked like pretty much everything about it. Like it was one of the, I think pretty much no one expected this direct to pop off the way it did for this sort of last year, and potentially like the final Switch direct we get, because we might still get a September direct, maybe it's still possible, but I could see a scenario where we don't get a September direct and we just maybe get some smaller things, or maybe we get like a partner showcasey type direct maybe, and then they just
a Silk Song direct, obviously.
And then they just kind of go like, the stuff we're putting out next year, here's the we're gonna start talking about what's next, and that's our Switch 2 baby, and they're gonna maybe get that bigger reveal later this year, so we'll have to see.
Which is also very exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting just to know, like, we're getting still tons of really cool Switch titles like Brothership and Zelda and Echoes of Wisdom. And
the name, somebody made an edit that is like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's like Edward and Alphonse, but it's them, and it says Super Mario and Luigi Brothership, and awesome. I'm like, you guys did it. I think like this, if you hadn't felt this way, this was like my definitive, like, the Switch has been Nintendo's best console.
Yeah.
Ever,
and to close on like this kind of year is crazy.
And just like how clear that all their teams are firing on all cylinders. Like, obviously this is like a lot of 3DS style games, right? Like,
for sure.
But this is like the power of those teams consolidating with the console teams.
Yes.
And the dream of Nintendo being like this one unified unit, and how everyone can kind of keep it going over year, even in the bad years. It's what an incredible run. And to think of like we'll get this stuff this year, and like the potential idea of the Switch 2 coming, like, if we get it sometime in spring, or like maybe it's like springtime, or I'm feeling
fall.
May is kind of like what I feel like a lot of people have been saying, and I feel like that does seem good.
I could see that for sure. But the idea of like we get kind of all this pretty good stuff this year, and then we go into next year and get like we'll get
a new Mario,
we'll get Pokemon Legends, like even before the Switch 2 we'll get Pokemon Legends ZA, and then if we then get like Metroid Prime 4, and then we get Switch 2, and then like maybe there's like a cross-gen there with that, or like some kind of port enhancement or whatever it'll end up being for Retro Prime 4. And then yeah, we have all the Switch 2 stuff, like a new Mario Kart, a new, whatever else they could have at launch for that thing, on top of like other games. Like that would be like insane year. And that's just for like Nintendo. Like we have, obviously Nintendo show our focus there, but like I just think next year is going to be like one of the craziest
next
years.
year's going to be bananas.
Insane
Agreed.
years for video games. Again, like I feel like we say that all the time. Like we're saying all the time, like last year and like maybe a year or two before that, but like
we knew this year was going to be like a lower one.
Yes,
and
sure.
It, has not been bad by any means.
No, not at all. There's been some really good stuff. It's crazy that like DLC is like the best thing, the two of the best DLCs for the two of the best video games came out this year, and like are like game of the year contenders, and we still haven't even gotten like a lot of good video games that are already like on the docket. So
yeah, and like
still
stuff like Dawn Trail, I feel like fits into that DLC as well, and that's on the horizon. So yeah, I'm just like, look at the portfolio of Nintendo Switch, like Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, potentially ending with Metroid Prime 4, with Metroid Dread, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like these are some of Nintendo's
Animal
best
Crossing,
games.
New Horizons,
Animal Crossing,
like multiple Splatoon games that were pretty solid. Like it's easily
crazy.
Their best like console.
Arms,
of course. Who could forget Pokken Tournament DX, motherfuckers? Pokken 2, the dream is real. Switch 2, Pokken 2, it makes sense. Come on,
it makes sense. 4K, 4 Pokemon in your
shit. 4 Pokemon in the
Everyone's fighting to death with. It's a tag team game with you have 4 members of your team.
Actually, Pokken Tag Tournament would be sick as fuck.
Pokken Tag Tournament would actually be really
sick
fucking
as fuck. Yeah, he just came with a big brain. It's really good direct, really closing out. I do want to do at some point. We don't have to do it. Maybe in like maybe later towards the end of this year. Thinking ahead. That I'm thinking way too ahead. But I do want to do like a. What would be our in the vein of like a Pokken 2, what would our dream like Switch 2 games be now that we're kind of like we're getting like the soft reset into like now we're going into new things. So like there's obvious stuff like I will be incredibly excited for a new Mario Kart, but obviously and stuff like a new Smash Brothers, stuff like a new Animal Crossing, new 3D Mario,
every
new
time
Zelda,
a new Nintendo console comes out, the first thing I think about is Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure. Yeah, a lot of people are just like, when is that? I'm ready.
And I don't even know if I want it anymore. Like they really did. Like if they did an ultimate edition with like maybe a couple more characters.
Yeah. Like I honestly would be totally fine if it's just Ultimate DX, and they just put Ultimate out on Switch 2. Maybe visual enhances this yada yada with the Switch 2. Maybe like 2-3 new characters and some stages, and then just do some DLC for it. And like that's like I'm more than happy if that's just that's what we get for Smash. And that's like the easiest thing to do in the world, and that would make just so much easy, obvious sense. But I would say, please, for the love of God, make an actual new Mario Kart. But also, on the other end, make a Mario Kart 9 be a new Mario Kart game, please.
Yeah. And like maybe roll back netcode in Smash Ultimate DX. That if they could finally do that, I think it could be huge. A game changer. So
yeah. We'll have to see. Yeah, I think we'll have a more definitive conversation like that in the coming months for sure. When it's we're closer in and we know like we have that idea of like where's Switch 2 landing. But yeah, that's the direct happened. Yeah, solid stuff. Let's talk about some video games we've been playing here on the Switch. Obviously the big one is Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door. But before we get to that, of course, was there any other little games other games you've been playing?
Yeah, I would say I just want to throw out, like, I don't know, my Switch looks a little different now. I don't understand what happened to it.
You got that Switch too early. Oh shit!
Yeah, this is the Valve Switch 2.
Gabe Newell's Switch 2.
So yeah, Gabe Newell sent me a Switch 2. So I wanted to cheat a little bit and talk about Steam Deck games. Because I've just been playing stuff that I would play on my Switch kind of on Steam Deck.
Yeah, I get it.
Like Hades 2, which will come to Switch in my defense, but very fucking good. I don't want to get too much into that because it's spoilers for people that are waiting for 1.0, and I won't do that to you, but let me tell you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've not had the time to even touch it yet either, so I'm like, please.
Great. I want to play favorite thing, without spoiling it, my favorite thing is like the presence of the villain of this story is very exciting because, you know, in Hades 1, Hades was like an obstacle, but he wasn't like the antagonist necessarily.
Sure.
But like this person, the villain of this game is like, I fucking hate you. So I'm going to be getting in your way in a very obnoxious and some wild and crazy ways.
Cool.
And they play with that in such a fun way. But the big thing is I've been playing Stardew Valley with mods. And let me tell you.
Game changer.
I'm living a whole new life. I can hit a button on the back of my Steam Deck and it just opens up a menu that has every item that's in the game. And I can just get as many of each item as I need. And sometimes, you know, I just want to get 5 gold bars so I can upgrade my pickaxe. All right.
Yeah, and just be done. And you just done.
And just be done.
Just zoom through that game. I get it. Yeah, I can see that.
I've played that game. I put in the work the first time through on the Switch. Now is my time for leisurely dating everyone. That's my dream Stardew Valley situation. So that's been great. And yeah, I just like, as someone who is like starting to come more around to handheld, like I'm going back in the handheld gaming direction just because I'm doing a lot of stuff now. I don't play as much video games anymore. I'm out here living my truth and all that. Like, having something like the Switch and Steam Deck, which I've played a little bit of both because I have Blotcher on Switch, is great. And yeah, if you're a fan of the Switch, the Steam Deck is pretty great. But and I've been playing Kingdom Hearts, but you know, that's kind of like a constant.
Always coming back to it. Yeah.
In some way, sure. I'm you know, my heart is always my guiding key.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, it's been mostly Paper Mario. So we can talk about Paper Mario, unless you've got anything else.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just have 2 quick things of just like, the circle back, because I think I talked about it briefly last episode, is Another Crab's Treasure. I did actually see that game to completion and enjoyed it a lot. It has some, it gets pretty wild at the end, very anime in a weird, wacky way, because like the whole conceit of it was like, you know, it's pollution is kind of taking over the sea world, but it's seen as like, you know, they kind of have twisted into like it is like a power, it is like a resource, and like you know, there's like it gets like really weird, like it gets like meta in a way, like, you know, it's trying to riff off Souls games, so it gets weird, and like the later parts of that game literally have you like way underwater, like you're like going deeper and deeper, and like you're in these places that are like, they look like Dark Souls areas where it's like a straight up like big cathedral zone. And there's like these crabs that like you fight while you're fighting them. They're like old crabs.
Oh my god!
And like when you take one of them down, it's like its ruined shell like gets destroyed, and then it becomes like a deshelled crab that's like almost acts like a weird zombie and like comes after you. And it gets really wacky in that regard. And then there's tons of like cool environments too, where it's like there's one where it's like, you know, you have to like stealth through the zone, like kind of do stealth, where like there's giant spider crabs that are like huge, and like it's like all dark and like neon-y because you're like super underwater in this dark area. And if one of them sees you, it goes crazy and like shoots laser beams at you and stuff, and you have to kind of go. And so it just gets wild and like very like meta in the like, you know, you're you know, these ancient crabs and this ancient power, and you can't be trusted with it because you're a hermit crab or whatever. It gets very like weird and bizarre in like a cool way that I appreciated. And that was fun because it's kind of aping on those Souls, like, you know, and I'll totally admit, for this game I turned on a bunch of the easier settings like I did before, and I think that made it like a little bit more enjoyable for me, because it made it feel just more like it felt more like a older 3D like Zelda, like a hack and slash kind of adventure game kind of experience. That was a lot of fun. So definitely worth checking out. I had a lot of fun with that. And then one other I will shout out in a similar vein, since I was You brought up the Steam Deck. I've been playing. I believe it's called Quest Master. I'll double check that name on my Steam page real quick. Yes, Quest Master. It is early access on Steam right now. It will be coming to Switch later this year. This is basically a indie dev team going, Nintendo, you won't make a fucking Zelda dungeon maker. Fine, we'll do it ourselves. And they made like a 2D top-down like Zelda dungeon maker. And so like, you can go in and make your own dungeons and like share them online and people can play them. People have already done some like really cool ass shit where somebody has literally recreated the Link to the Past or like an original Zelda maps in the game, and you can just like adventure around them and do shit in them. And like, you know, they did something also I was shouted that was really smart is like before it released in early access, they put it out as like demo during like Steam Next Fests, and so like people could just like download the demo and make maps. So like they've had like accruing maps even before the game released through these like demo drops, which I thought was like really smart. So like it came out and already had like a bunch of maps, and now at this point I think it has like a few thousand maps or something already made by people. But yeah, it's pretty fun. It's, you know, they have like a really cool like roadmap set up where like they kind of have been doing like weekly smaller updates where like, oh, this week we added like a new little enemy that you can put in the dungeons, or like, you know, this new little treasure chest type thing that you can do and add to the map. So they've been doing like weekly drops like that, but they have like larger plans too. Like they have like co-op and like multiplayer like planned for like dungeons and stuff. And then, you know, like I said, like I think they said by the end of the year when it has 1.0 release, it'll come to Switch as well. But you know, it has a bunch of other stuff like that, and it is playable on Steam Deck. It's Steam Deck verified already. So yeah, been having a lot of fun with it. I really have been enjoying it, and definitely think we should probably get
it's on my wish list. Yeah. I'm literally watching a trailer right now. Like, how did I never hear of this game? It's incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome. We should.
It's got like the Minish Cap looking art style. That's so good.
Yeah, it's really cool. Really looks great. I've been having fun messing around with it a little bit. So yeah, we should do like a viewpoints or like a video on that probably.
Very down.
Soon or something. But yeah, really cool. I definitely worth checking out for now. It's just on, like I said, Steam early access. So you have to play it on PC or on Steam Deck for now, but it will be on Switch by the end of this year. Very cool. But yeah, other than that, yep, same. Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, remade for the Nintendo Switch. Hey, that's one of the best video games ever, huh?
Yep.
One of the best video games ever.
Shut it down. Go spend $60 right now, everybody. Yep. That's the podcast.
That's it.
We're over.
That's all you need to know.
Yeah, man. Like, what a treat that they not even that we get it again, and it's just Paper Mario, and it's still that game. It's still great, and it's like all the best parts about that game are still the best parts about that game. Writing's great, characters are great. Canonical trans character in the US, by the way, just BT dubs. Not that makes a difference for me. But you know, that was like a thing that was in the original Japanese script that was not translated, you know, because obviously 2004 was a very different time in the US. But now it is, and like I get to wear that and annoy people with that for the rest of my life. But also that we get like the Nintendo modern remaster treatment of like sometimes they're like, we're just gonna port a thing and it's gonna kind of be a bummer, but at least you can play it again. And then other times they're like, we're gonna redo all the music and make fucking crazy bangers.
Yes, we're gonna like the visual updates. This game got are really nice too. Like it looks like the more modern Paper Mario like look of Origami King, which Origami King I thought looks incredible. It looks incredible. Very good looking game. One of the I think better looking games on the Switch. So like to get this treatment for Thousand Year Door game, I ultimately do prefer much more from a gameplay and all kinds of other reasons. Yes, awesome. And then like you said, yeah, the holy crap, the amount of music that they've like redone for this game, because like now it's like literally like originally there was like one battle music, and that was good. Like there's
two. There's a boss theme and a battle theme. That was it.
Exactly. Yeah. So now they've gone and like essentially like remixed that bass track. Like already made like a new version of that, which is amazing. And then for each area, they made like a new version of that remix. That is like good. Also good every time. You're just like, I'm like excited to like start a new chapter and hear like these new renditions of this music that I really like. But also, they're also put in a badge you can go get at the very start of the game and just put on the classical music if you want it to. So that's like a best of both worlds situation. That is awesome.
And it's like, that's such a fun way, it's not just a menu option. It's such a fun way to like incorporate it into the game and the mechanics.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, it's been a while and we both played Origami King and I have some large resentment issues with that game. That's maybe not entirely its fault, but I just ultimately, after I was done with it, I was like, I never want to look at this game ever again. I really did not like it. But there is something incredible about playing a Paper Mario game again and again. Like you said, the visual, like having it be the modern Paper Mario, what Paper Mario could have potentially always been on a HD console, and have it be a fucking real ass Paper Mario game. It is just, it feels so good to be back. Like doing the jumps, doing the RPG, getting the star points, using the special moves. It's like, yes, this is like this shit is still good. And, and I'm so glad fun. So many people get to play it for the first time, and it has been very fun seeing like a lot of people be like, oh yeah, this is what you guys were talking about. Like, this is great.
Yeah, this is awesome. Turns out, we believed, and and it's happening. And it's just super fun. I still like, again, like I mentioned earlier, the Destiny Black Hole happened. So like I played a bunch of it right before Final Shape came out. And I think I finished through chapter 4. So I got up to, so I think I'm like in the like midst of like going to chapter 5.
Got it.
Which is chapter 5 the train, or is that the one after that?
Chapter 5 is the island.
The island, and then
6 is the train.
The train. Okay, that's what I was waiting for because the
train is excellent.
Yeah, the train was always my favorite. My favorite, like the train chapter was always my favorite.
The music in that chapter. So I was like,
I'm excited to get there, but again, and do that part again. So that was always really fun. But tons of like great stuff there, and like
so many quality of life updates that I really
I like the little they did this little partner ring so you can kind of hot swap the characters more easily when you're just kind of walking around the world. That's just like a nice like simple little thing that I really like. I don't know if I don't think they do like a lot to the combat. I don't think they really changed anything drastically there. So I think that was like the right call, like because it is like they kept it like they made like things like they made quality of life changes where it made sense, and they didn't really change anything else because I don't think they really needed to, arguably. So that's been like a really nice showcase of that as well. It's just they just enhanced it rather than just kind of making a bunch of changes for the sake of it.
Yeah, like the only one that I'm like only a little salty about, and it's like it's truly nothing. They made it so in the original game the base amount of items you could have was 10, which is way too little. They made it 15 in this version of the game, which is great. But there is an item that you get in the Pit of 100 Trials at the halfway point that upgrades your inventory so you can hold more items. And that originally brought your inventory from 10 to 20. Huge upgrade, obviously big deal. So I was like, oh, does this make it from 15 to 30? No, it takes it from 15 to 20, which makes that upgrade much less like valuable.
Less exciting,
but like whatever. Like this is my one thing that I can be like kind of
how dare
they? Yeah, and it's like I truly don't give a fuck. Like it's so good, and like the Goombella now has like a hint that's like anytime you can ask her like, hey, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing right now? And she'll tell you. There's a guy that'll let you do like train on the timing for action commands in combat anytime he shows up in every chapter, just so like if you put the game down, you come back and you need to kind of like warm yourself back up. Some of those later chapters, it's like enemies are not holding back anymore. So like that's really nice. They like put a sign over the Trouble Center, which is where all the side quests are, so that way you know that it's a place you're supposed to go. There's like a lot of little stuff like that I think is really great. The whole menus have been reworked to be like way cleaner and way faster. It's it's a dream. When I was playing that game, it's one of those rare remakes where I'm like, I can't believe this is bad. Like, I can't believe they brought this game back. I've been begging for like decades, truly 20 years. So it's like, okay, finally it's back.
It's finally here, and it's like the best version of
good.
it. So
it's hands down the best version.
So awesome stuff. So I really liked it a lot as well, and I'm excited to jump back into it. I definitely will keep playing that, and probably now that like the Destiny, I've been Destinied out a little bit. I think it's time to play a little bit, a couple other things, and jump into that. So I'm looking forward to returning to that soon.
Yeah, me too. I'm in chapter 7, but and there's 8 chapters for point of reference. I need to get back to it.
Yeah. So we'll get back to it for sure. But I think that's largely going to do it though for our trip to Nintendoland. Unless you had any other games or any other things you want to talk about here.
No, if you're not convinced on our Paper Mario talk, just look up Rawk, and it's ARAWK. Rawk, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door HD music. Just listen to that track, and you're welcome.
Yep, that's right. Just go listen to some of that music.
Incredible.
It's really awesome. But thanks everybody as always for hanging out here for our trip to Nintendoland, our kind of monthly podcast about Nintendo. We'll try and get back on track. You'll probably see some more stuff in this channel here on youtube.com/irrationalpassions in general. Now we're out of the Destiny mines, as it were, for a little bit at least. So maybe we can think up some ideas of some things, of some videos and things we can check out. So look forward to that, hopefully. But also, maybe you are into Destiny, and you can go check out another channel, youtube.com/Helm2Tower, where we do the Helm to Tower podcast, talking all things Destiny 2. I have some other videos planned for that channel as well, coming soon, and talking about some other games in the vein of Destiny. But some stuff coming up. Appreciate it as always. Checking out our stuff when we get it out there. Always appreciated. Or if you're an audio listener on podcast services, always appreciated. Feel free to leave us a rating or a comment or whatever, anytime. So that's it for now. Until next time, we'll see ya. Bye.
Bye.